the glories of Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtotarashata Śrīmad Śrīmad Bhakti Vicāra Yāyāvara Gosvāmī Mahārāja, spoken by Srila Bhakti Vijñāna Bhāratī Gosvāmī Mahārāja and included in his book, My Beloved Masters. So I'm just going to share my screen. All right. Let me make this reading view. There. So this is from, Srila Bhakti Vicāra Bhāratī Gosvāmī Mahārāja. Accepting the shelter of Srila Prabhupada. Although Śrī Śrīmad Bhakti Vicāra Yāyāvara Gosvāmī Mahārāja's forefathers were originally from Orissa, he took birth in Durmut, Medinipur district, West Bengal. Srila Maharaj, then known as Śrī Sarveshwar Panda, was still very young when he encountered Śrī Śrīmad Bhakti Prasunna Bodhayan Gosvāmī Mahārāja, a disciple of Srila Prabhupada Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur in Jaganathpuri. After hearing the teachings and glories of Srila Prabhupada through Srila Bodhayan Gosvāmī Mahārāja, Śrī Sarveshwar Panda took shelter at the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada at Śrī Purushottam Mat in Jaganathpuri, and was given the name Śrī Sarveshwar Brahmachari after receiving initiation. The astrologer's prediction. Once, a famous and reputable astrologer read the palms of Śrī Sarveshwar Brahmachari and another Brahmachari. At the end of the reading, the astrologer confidently told them, "Both of you will marry and enter in household life. It is definite. There is no way out of it." An astrologer said that to me also, a very good astrologer. He did astrology his whole life, and he said the same thing to me. Anyhow, although Śrī Sarveshwar Brahmachari was quite young, Srila Prabhupada wanted to give him sannyas due to his expertise in Kirtan and his vast knowledge of Gaudiya Vaishnava Siddhanta. But because of the astrologer's prediction, Śrī Sarveshwar Brahmachari was reluctant to accept sannyas, fearing that the desire to marry may be latent within him. Seeing Śrī Sarveshwar Brahmachari's reluctance, Srila Prabhupada said, "Sannyas means to completely surrender at the lotus feet of Sri Krishna. Why are you fearful of taking shelter of a Bhai Charanaravinda, Sri Krishna, whose lotus feet bestow fearlessness?" Śrī Sarveshwar Brahmachari received sannyas in 1936 and was the last sannyas disciple of Srila Prabhupada. He was given the name Śrī Śrīmad Bhakti Vicāra Yāyāvara Gosvāmī Mahārāja. The other brahmachari implicated in the astrologer's prediction eventually married, but Srila Yāyāvara Gosvāmī Mahārāja never did. Sometime much later, when the astrologer again met with Srila Yāyāvara Gosvāmī Mahārāja and looked at his palm, he said, "I do not know what to say. The lines of your hand have changed, and along with them, your destiny. I have heard from the Vaishnavas that if someone is firmly fixed in Krishna Bhakti, then whatever is written for him in the book of Providence becomes ripped to pieces. Previously, I never had much faith in this statement, but I now see before me the evidence of this truthfulness. Bhakti truly can change a person's destiny. Do not be quick to praise anyone. They may become puffed up and fall down." I wrote a post on Facebook about this, asking about this. Anyways, let's see. Srila Yāyāvara Gosvāmī Mahārāja was Durdarshi. He was able to very clearly see all future happenings. There is one pastime in this regard. In 1960, my Paramaradhatama Guru Maharaj, Śrīmad Bhakti Dayit Madhav Gosvāmī Mahārāja, had organized a festival at our Śrī Chaitanya Gaudiya Mat in Vrindavan to celebrate the installation of the Śrī Gauranga Mahaprabhu and Śrī Śrī Radha Govinda deities, to which he had invited almost all of his godbrothers, including Srila Bhakti Vicāra Yāyāvara Gosvāmī Mahārāja. One second, I need to clear my throat again. Oh, this is so annoying. Sorry, you can cover your ears if it's annoying. Okay. Okay. Because it was such a large gathering, there was no single location large enough to provide both residence and prasad to all the attending Vaishnavas. Various dharmashalas were thus booked, and the arrangements were done in such a way that the Vaishnavas would be able to honor prasad in their respective dwellings. During that time, a very young devotee who had only recently taken sannyas spoke Harikatha. Because he was quite learned and scholarly, he delivered his lecture in fluent English and quoted many verses from the Shastras. Everyone was impressed to hear such a well-presented lecture. Spoke English even though there's no English speakers there. The next day, while honoring prasad, Śrī Śrīmad Bhakti Vicāra Gosvāmī Mahārāja, a sannyasi disciple of Srila Prabhupada, began glorifying the young sannyasi who had spoken the previous day. Srila Yāyāvara Gosvāmī Mahārāja and Sripad Krishna Keshav Prabhu were also present in the room. Because I was responsible for providing and serving prasad to them, I was also present. Hearing this praise, Srila Yāyāvara Gosvāmī Mahārāja immediately interrupted Srila Hrishikesh Goswāmī Mahārāja and heavily chastised him, loudly saying, "There is no need to glorify this young sannyasi at this time. Although he surely spoke Harikatha nicely, being a new devotee, who can say how much he realizes in his heart of what he spoke? Speaking is one thing, but how fixed is he on this path? There is much time remaining in his life. Let him first live and grow in this Vaishnav world before glorifying him." There is a Bengali proverb, "Morile jadi orale chai, tobe shatir guna gai." Okay. This means it is improper to call a woman chaste until she's lived chastely in her entire life, up until the point when her body is cremated and her ashes vanish into air. All right. Not a very PC thing. Okay, then and only then can she be called chaste. Similarly, unless a person has displayed proper conduct and etiquette, it is the unintelligence to glorify him for whatever qualities he may have, like the ability to speak nicely. Mundane scholars can also speak nicely, but we generally see that they have no faith in Sri Hari, Guru, and Vaishnavas. Therefore, whatever qualities such person may possess are only material. Prior to this pastime, I had only witnessed that Srila Yāyāvara Gosvāmī Mahārāja was immensely soft-spoken by nature. He was always straightforward and direct, and he spoke whatever he felt. In 1962, during the time of Kumbh Mela in Haridwar, it was found that the young sannyasi was not so fixed in the path of bhakti. There he performed activities that caused him to leave the association of the Gaudiya Mat sadhus, and he began criticizing everyone. Affectionate concern for godbrothers. Once, Srila Yāyāvara Gosvāmī Mahārāja went to Kalna when Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswāmī Mahārāja was serving in the Ananta Vasudev temple there. Oh, cool. Rup Manjari just sent me a picture of that temple. A few pictures of that temple. I've not been there yet. This is confirmation. I have to go there. She sent those pictures to me today. So when he met with Srila Puri Goswāmī Mahārāja, he said, "You have taken responsibility for this temple as well as different responsibilities at Sri Chaitanya Gaudiya Mat. How can you manage all these things single-handedly? It would be better for you to invest your energy in full time in wholeheartedly serving in only one place." After accepting his advice, Srila Puri Goswāmī Mahārāja invested his complete energy in his services at Sri Chaitanya Gaudiya Mat. Just to engage in Kirtan, Krishna will provide whatever is required. One day, the brahmacharis of Srila Yāyāvara Gosvāmī Mahārāja's mat became agitated upon seeing there was no rice whatsoever to cook and offer to Thakurji. When they brought their concern to Srila Maharaj, he immediately understood the situation and said, "Do not worry." He then locked the temple's gate and kept the key with him. He turned to the brahmacharis and told them, "Please speak Harikatha and perform Kirtan for the pleasure of the Lord. There is no need to worry about anything, especially since you are devotees." After this, he headed to his room on the second floor of the mutt, and keeping the key in the temple's gate with him, he began to loudly chant Harinam. After some time, someone began to knock on the temple's gate and call out for someone to come and open it, but nobody was able to hear him due to the loud kirtan the brahmacharis were performing in the temple hall. Finally, Srila Maharaj saw from his room that someone was outside of the gate. After one kirtan had finished and before the next started, Srila Maharaj dropped the keys from the second floor to the ground floor and asked one of the brahmacharis to open the gate and see who had come. When they opened the door, they found that the man who had been knocking was standing outside the gate with a giant bag of rice. When the residents of the mutt inquired about who had purchased those provisions, the man replied, "I do not know. All I know is that someone asked me to deliver these things to this mutt. I have no idea who he was." The brahmacharis asked, "Has he paid the fare for your rickshaw?" "Yes," the man replied. Because Srila Yāyāvara Gosvāmī Mahārāja was completely surrendered to the Lord, seeing the pain Srila Maharaj experienced upon being unable to offer bhog, supplied whatever was needed for this service. Wow, that's a pretty magical story. Just engage in kirtan, Krishna will award peacefulness. Srila Yāyāvara Gosvāmī Mahārāja used to sing wonderful kirtans from the core of his heart. Once the electricity went out while he was performing kirtan. Being unsure what to do, the devotees became restless. Srila Yāyāvara Gosvāmī Mahārāja immediately reacted, telling them not to become disturbed, and he began singing Bhaja Huremana Shri Nandanandana Abhaya Charanara Vindare. In this way, his conduct was a testament to his complete surrender to the Lord. He never worried for anything, and he wanted others never to worry as well. An omnipotent doctor. Once a devotee consulted with a doctor about an infection resulting from a previous hand injury he had sustained. After examining the devotee, the doctor concluded that the only solution was to amputate one of the devotee's fingers, and that he could come for the surgery after a couple of days. Before the devotee returned to the doctor to have his finger removed, he visited Srila Yāyāvara Gosvāmī Mahārāja. After offering his pranams to Srila Maharaj, he mentioned that within a day or two, he would have to have his finger cut off. Hearing this, Srila Yāyāvara Gosvāmī Mahārāja responded, "You must have done some Vaishnava aparad, and the result is the loss of your finger. Quickly go and beg for the forgiveness of whomever you have offended." The devotee became grave and admitted, "Yes, I committed an offense at the lotus feet of a pure devotee. But that devotee has left this world. What should I do?" Srila Yāyāvara Gosvāmī Mahārāja told him, "Go to the place where his body was cremated and beg and cry for forgiveness." The devotee followed these instructions. When he went to the doctor's office to have his finger amputated, the doctor did one last examination and became astonished. He asked, "What kind of medicine have you taken? And from where have you found such a medicine?" The devotee replied, "I haven't taken any medicine. Why are you asking this question?" The doctor said, "This is incredible. When I previously examined you, there was no other option but to amputate this finger. But now I can see that there is no need for anything. Your hand will heal just fine by itself." Who but Madhav? Oh, and here's a picture of, I've never seen this picture before. Right here is Srila Bhakti Vicāra Yāyāvara Gosvāmī Mahārāja, Srila Bhakti Dait Madhav Gosvāmī Mahārāja, and Srila Bhakti Rakshak Shira Gosvāmī Mahārāja. Right? Did I get that right? Yes. Who but Madhav? Every year, just after Gaur Purnima, many disciples of Srila Prabhupada would visit the mat of Srila Bhakti Rakshak Shira Gosvāmī Mahārāja in Koladvip to meet together and take prasad. One year on this occasion, my Guru Maharaj informed his godbrothers that there was an opportunity to purchase the appearance place of Srila Prabhupada in Jagannath Puri, and he suggested they purchase the land collectively. After discussing the matter amongst themselves, a few of his godbrothers pledged whatever money they could, but the total amount was almost insignificant in relation to the amount needed. Feeling perplexed about what to do, Guru Maharaj mentioned, "We will have to think of another way to collect the required funds." At this time, Srila Yāyāvara Gosvāmī Mahārāja mentioned one verse from Nrsimha Purana. Madhavo Madhavo Vachi, Madhavo Madhavo Hridi, Smaranti Madhava Sarve, Sarva Karyeshu Madhavam. Madhav is in one's words. Madhav is in one's heart. All saintly persons remember Madhav, the husband of Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth, in all their endeavors. Although the name Madhav in this verse refers to Bhagavan Sri Krishna, Srila Yāyāvara Gosvāmī Mahārāja spoke the verse in reference to my Guru Maharaj, Śrī Śrīmad Bhakti Madhav Gosvāmī Mahārāja, and thus implied, Madhav Maharaj is in the words and hearts of his godbrothers. All his godbrothers remember Madhav Maharaj because he is able to collect any amount of Lakshmi, money. All his godbrothers remember Madhav Maharaj in all their undertakings, and that is why anything can be accomplished when Madhav Maharaj is there. What is the need to rely on anyone else? Upon hearing this, Guru Maharaj understood that his godbrothers were blessing him by entrusting this service to him, and he paid his prostrated Dandavat pranams to all of them. Thus, he happily accepted the entire responsibility of acquiring Srila Prabhupada's appearance place. His Seva Nishta. After the property of Srila Prabhupada's appearance place had been purchased, and while the mat was still under construction, Guru Maharaj arranged for a festival to be held there for the occasion of Srila Prabhupada's appearance day in 1979. He sent out personal handwritten invitations to all his godbrothers that read, "Please bless us by attending this festival." Those who were able to attend arrived on the day of the festival. Because there was no reply from Srila Yāyāvara Gosvāmī Mahārāja, Guru Maharaj assumes the invitation had been lost in the mail, and immediately sent him a telegram. As soon as Srila Yāyāvara Gosvāmī Mahārāja received the telegram, he packed a bag and departed for Jagannath Puri for the festivities. What generally happens when a guest arrives at his destination is that he wants to know where he can keep his luggage, where he can take bath, and where he will be staying. But Srila Yāyāvara Gosvāmī Mahārāja was not like this. When he arrived at the festival, the first thing he did was join the Kirtan party. He considered, unless and until I do some service here in the mat, what right do I have to ask for a place to even keep my bags? Let me first perform service. Only then will it be proper for me to request a place to stay. This was his service mood. Always distributing mercy. Srila Yāyāvara Gosvāmī Mahārāja would immediately offer all his visitors prasad upon their arrival. Once he was staying at a place where no musambis, a type of orange, were locally available, and so a visitor brought some from a far distance. Although these fruits were brought especially for him, he immediately cut them into slices and offered them to all the devotees present. Such was his personality. His purifying kirtan. Part of Srila Prabhupada's last instructions to his disciples was for them to collectively preach the message of Rupa Raghunath. Keeping this instruction in mind, my Guru Maharaj used to tell his godbrothers, "Somehow, by the will of Providence, we are forced to stay in separate places and create different organizations. But in order to fulfill the desire of Srila Prabhupada, we should all meet whenever possible." In this way, he would invite all his godbrothers whenever he would host a festival or function in our mat. There he would give his godbrothers a chance to speak about the glories and teachings of Srila Prabhupada. During one such festival, an invited dignitary, a judge named Durga Nath Basu, who was also the Sabhapati, the chairman, rose from his seat and informed Guru Maharaj that he had to leave due to another engagement, and thus the Sabha, the Harikatha, would be finished for the night. Many invited disciples of Srila Prabhupada had spoken, but Srila Yāyāvara Gosvāmī Mahārāja had not yet had the chance to speak. Seeing that the time had finished, Guru Maharaj requested Srila Maharaj to instead perform Kirtan. Abiding his request, Srila Yāyāvara Gosvāmī Mahārāja stood up and performed Kirtan. Guru Maharaj requested me to assist the judge to his car and give him some prasad. After he offered pranam to Thakurji and the Vaishnavas present, he walked together towards his car. But as we were leaving, Srila Yāyāvara Gosvāmī Mahārāja began to sing, Narad Muni Bajai Bina Radhika Ramana Name. Upon hearing this kirtan, the judge became mesmerized and returned to his seat. After the kirtan concluded, the judge requested Guru Maharaj, please bring the sannyasi to my house tomorrow. I have never before experienced the kind of bliss I felt upon hearing his kirtan just now. It was such a purifying, heart-melting kirtan, and I want my entire family to experience this as well. I will send a car. You should all please come along with this Maharaj to my home for kirtan tomorrow. The meaning of the word jiva. Once during an assembly in Sri Chaitanya Gaudiya Math in Kolkata, Srila Yāyāvara Gosvāmī Mahārāja spoke about one of the famous slogans of Vivekananda. Jive prema kore jai jana se jan sevit. Jive prema kore jai jan se jan saviche Ishwar. One who has love for living entities actually serves the Supreme Lord. Srila Maharaj said, according to this statement, only humans, men and women, are to be classified as jivas, or living entities. Are not goats, chickens, fish, birds, and other animals also living entities? Do they not have ears and eyes? Will they not bleed if we prick them? Do they not also eat, sleep, mate, and defend as humans do? Although they may reside in different places, like the water or in the forest, they are all living entities. Therefore, why do the followers of Vivekananda eat such living entities? Do they build hospitals and schools only for humans because they believe only humans are worthy of love? In reality, all conscious beings are living entities, or jivas. When a person's understanding of Bhagavan is complete, he easily realizes that all living entities are part and parcel of the Lord. Thus, he will naturally have love for all living entities, and not just humans. After Srila Yāyāvara Gosvāmī Mahārāja finished his katha, one gentleman stood up and said, Vivekananda was different from you sadhus. He was extensively involved with improving the welfare of all people by building hospitals, schools, and by doing many other types of charity work. But we do not see the sadhus of Gaudiya Math performing such charitable acts. Srila Yāyāvara Gosvāmī Mahārāja then asked the chairman, a university professor named Śrī Śrīmad Gosvāmī, if he could be allotted more time to respond to the gentleman's comment. However, Śrī Śrīmad Gosvāmī said, it is better that I, being a neutral party, comment on this statement. Addressing the gentleman, he said, when you use the word jiva in this slogan, to whom does it refer? For some people, the word jiva refers to the tongue. Does it mean that you are serving Bhagavan by serving the tongue and giving it whatever it desires? All living entities are called jiva, not only humans. Why then do the followers of Vivekananda eat eggs, meat, and fish if they are supposed to love all jivas? If Vivekananda's followers accept that the word jiva only refers to humans, then what is the need for prisons? Should we not close all the prisons and serve all the prisoners whatever they desire, like alcohol, drugs, and so on? Is that really jiva seva? Will this be the equivalent to serving Bhagavan? I hope Vivekananda is not implying that we should serve such people who have no control over their senses or their desires to harm other living entities. Long before Viveka was even born, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave the perfect conclusion of the Shastras. Jive Daya Krishna Nam Sarva Dharma Sar. The essence of all religious principles is to show compassion to the living entities and chant Krishna Nam. When the gentleman who objected to Srila Yāyāvara Gosvāmī Mahārāja's katha heard Śrī Śrīmad Gosvāmī's explanation, he apologized, admitting he did not understand the deep meanings of the scriptures and that he was attracted to Vivekananda's popular slogans without understanding whether or not they were in line with the scriptures. his love for cooking, and Jaganathprasad. If Srila Maharaj came to know that a devotee had come from Jagannath Puri, he would ask them if they had brought any prasad or where it was. He especially liked Jagannath's rice and dal prasad. Knowing this, he would always bring this prasad for him. Knowing this, we would always bring this prasad for him when we would visit Jagannath Puri. He was also an excellent cook. He was expert in finding and using whatever was available to him when he had no ingredients. Once, when he did not have the proper ingredients to make chutney, he saw a tree with leaves and asked, "What tree is this?" When he understood it was a tamarind tree, he made chutney from the tamarind leaves. Engaging everyone in the service of Bhagavan. Srila Yāyāvara Gosvāmī Mahārāja used to engage everyone in the service of Bhagavan according to their respective qualifications and qualities. If a sannyasi or brahmachari were to come to the mutt, he would tell them to speak Harikatha. This included me. Because he was extremely senior to us, we were embarrassed to speak in front of him. Detecting our shyness, he would say, "Do not worry, I will not be present," and then he would go to his room upstairs. Later, he would tell us that he had heard everything we had spoken. He possessed the conviction that one should immediately engage whomever he meets in the service of Bhagavan. His blessing and encouragement to me. Once, Srila Yāyāvara Gosvāmī Mahārāja spoke about me in an assembly, saying, "This devotee does not possess any jealousy, enviousness, or a hostile mood toward anyone. He is a nirmatsara sadhu, a person whose heart is devoid of envy." Although in truth I did not possess such qualities, he spoke in this way to bless me, so that one day I could. By my Paramaradhatama Guru Maharaja's mercy, I had the opportunity to serve Srila Yāyāvara Gosvāmī Mahārāja. In this service, I was able to have his association, see his conduct, and receive his blessings. Jai Srila Bhakti Vicāra Yāyāvara Gosvāmī Mahārāja ki Jai. Alright, so we can end with a little kirtan. It's getting late now, it's almost 9:30, so I'm just going to do short mantra. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jaya Sapashara Srila Prabhupada, Sapashara Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Sapashara Srila Prabhupada, Sapashara Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Gurudeva, Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol. Jai Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Shri Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Ju ki jai, Shri Govinda Gopinath Madan Mohan Ju ki jai, Nitil Bhavishto Mishnupar Ashtatarashatashmad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Gosvāmī Mahārāja Srila Gurudeva ki jai, Nitil Bhavishto Mishnupar Ashtatarashatashmad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Vaman Gosvāmī Mahārāja ki jai, Nitil Bhavishto Mishnupar Ashtatarashatashmad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Mahārāja Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitil Bhavishto Mishnupar Ashtatarashatashmad Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Gosvāmī Mahārāja ki jai, Nitil Pavishto Mishnupad Ashtatarashatashmad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai, Tadiya Parshad Vrinda ki jai, Nitil Pavishto Mahabhagavat Srila Gorksharas Babaji Maharaj ki jai, Nitil Pavishto Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai, Nitil Pavishto Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Nitil Pavishto Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai, Nitil Pavishto Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Srila Jaganathprasad Babaji Maharaj ki jai, Shri Rupanuga Gauriya Guru Varga ki jai, Nitil Pavishto Mishnupad Ashtatarashatashmad Srila Bhakti Vicāra Yāyāvara Gosvāmī Mahārāja ki jai. Śrī Rūpana Gogoriya Guru Varga ki jai, Śrī Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath, Śrī Jiva Gopal Bhatta Dashagunath, Shara Goswami Prabhu ki jai, Śrī Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari, Śrī Gaur Parshad Vrinda ki jai, Namachaya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai, Prem se Kaho Śrī Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Śrī Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Śrī Kshetra Mandala, Gaura Mandala, Braja Mandala, Mathura Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Sarva Abhishya Bhadatta Giriraj Maharaj ki jai, Śrī Radha Kunda Shama Kund ki jai, Śrī Yamuna Devi Ganga Devi ki jai, Śrī Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki jai, Śrī Bhakti Devi ki jai, Śrī Purnamasi Yoga Maya ki jai, Śrī Gopeshwar Mahadev ki jai, Śrī Keshav Vrat ki jai, Vrat Palan Kari Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Śrī Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai, Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Śrī Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo Vrindai Tulsi Devai Priyai Keshavashacha Krishna Bhakti Pradadevi Satyavatai Namo Namaha Vansha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Dandavat Pranams. Hari Bo. So I think for some of you, Akshaya Tritiya is tomorrow, right? For us here in Navadvip, it is on the 15th. But I think some places it's on the 14th. Anyhow. I'm not sure if this is the time I should mention this. Anyhow, whatever, I'm going to say it. I'm planning on starting something for Akshaya Tritiya. Because I've always wanted to write. I've never been very good at it. My English isn't that great, but I've just always had a desire to write. I don't know why. And so I was thinking of, because I've been doing lots of reading, you know, every morning I read from Śrīmad Bhagavatam, and in the evening we're reading all these articles. But then all I do, just because of my bad nature, as soon as I'm done with the reading, I usually go on to do something else totally mundane. And I just forget what I read. Like I should just, you know, stop everything else and just like let the Harikatha sit, but I don't. And so something I thought would get me, would force me in the habit of actually contemplating what I'm reading, like think about it, not just like have it go in one ear and out the other, is if I could write something every day. You know, and just try to remember these things that our acharyas are telling us, and try to, you know, whatever comes to my mind, you know, just try to repeat the words. That's what kirtan is, right? By reading these articles, that's a form of smaran, right? Reading. We're taking in the Harikatha. But you can do kirtan by writing, by the pen. You can do kirtan by speaking Harikatha, and you can do kirtan by singing. So I wanted to try writing something every day. Have you ever seen the 100-day challenges? So I was thinking on Akshaya Tritiya, which is the best day in the year to start something, I wanted to start a 100-day challenge for myself to write something every day. I don't know, I have to think about what the details will be. I'm thinking maybe for 100 days I'm going to write 200 words or something like that, at least 200 words of Harikatha that we've been hearing. Anyhow, if anybody else wants to do a 100-day thing with me though, that would be very, yeah, we can motivate each other. So anyways, you can think about it. If you want to do 100-day anything, let me know, and we'll both keep each other accountable. All right, Haribol. Yeah, and with these 100-day programs, what you do is you can do anything you want, like anything you want to do for 100 days. And then after you do it, then you post it on Facebook, and you write, you know, 1 of 100, and then the next day 2 of 100, 3 of 100, and you write a hashtag, whatever the thing is you're doing. And that way, you have to stay accountable. You know, like if you're just doing it by yourself and nobody's there to see and you don't have to show it to anybody, then, I don't know, someone like me will definitely fizzle out after just a few days. But having to post it publicly makes it a lot more, brings on the pressure. So, all right, Pradyumna Prabhu. So if you want to do something like that, you want to write on Gaudiya Vaishnavism, then maybe you can post a little bit of what you're writing every day for 100 days. Anyways, if anybody wants to do it, then that would be fun. All right, Haribol. All right, Dandavat pranams. But wait, I'm starting not tomorrow, because for us here, Akshaya Tritiya is on the 15th. But for some of you, it might be tomorrow, the 14th. Anyhow, all right, Haribol.